So welcome to all of you on this video based IT training. In this video I will explain how to recover the password on the Cisco router in case administrator forget the password and some other administrator set some password. That's why we are not able to log in onto the router. So before we start router password recovery process on the Cisco router, let's understand router boot up process and some basic term of the router. So very first component, that is the basic input output system BIOS, that contain microcodes and some of the small program. So BIOS basically consists of two parts. One is post stands for power on self test. During the post process, it checks the entire hardware configuration of the router, like what amount of RAM, what amount of NVRAM, which particular processor, how many interfaces, that can be the fast, that can be the serial interface of that particular router. So after performing the post, the second step is the bootstrap. To boot up informations to the router, it locates the operating system, initialize, and then load the IOS of the router with the help of bootstrap process. So after the iOS, startup configuration is the configuration that is permanently saved in the NVRAM of the router. So when the router boot up, it take all the configuration that is saved into the NVRAM. Running configuration is the configuration that remain in the RAM, on which configuration router is currently working. Whenever we do any configuration of the router, that first comes to the RAM, that is known as the running configuration. When we save this command for the permanent storage, because in the RAM, if the router reboots, all the configuration washed off. So we save this configuration into the NVRAM. So next time if the router reboot, it take all the configuration from the NVRAM. So next term is the configuration register. It's a 16-bit hexadecimal value that control the entire boot behavior of the router. Means at the boot up time, what the router should consider, either consider the NVRAM or not consider, and many other parameters that can be controlled with the help of configuration register. Default value is 0x2102, so we can verify it also with the help of command show version. We can see here default configuration register value is 2x21 0x2102. So it's the default value of any router at the okay. Next, the ROMMON mode. After configuration is the second term. Main term is the ROMMON mode is the of the router is used for troubleshooting and testing purpose of the router. There is some problem like configuration regarding problem and any other configuration problem. So by entering into the ROMMON mode, we can troubleshoot and testing of that particular router. So we can enter the ROMMON mode of the router by pressing Ctrl plus break key on the keyboard, or different special key combination on the special keyboard. That combination can be on some particular keyboard like Shift, Control, Function and Delete key. Okay, so let's start the practical how we can recover the password and Cisco router. So let's come on the router. So right now we don't have any configuration, like we can verify show running. None of the configuration on the router, no password, nothing else. Let's do some basic configurations like enable password, we can line console 0 password Cisco login. Always keep it in mind, no command in the Cisco router is case sensitive except password. So whatever password is saving, that is case sensitive. Other we can use either uppercase or lowercase command in the Cisco router. Exit. Okay, so sufficient. Our prime target is to just how to recover the password. Now we can verify show running. You can see here we have the Cisco enable password, and we also set some console password here. Yes, console password here. So just copy running to startup to save the configurations from RAM to NVRAM for my permanent storage. Exit. Oh, now we have the password. We cannot log in without having this proper password. If we log in, if we type some wrong password, it will not work. You can try. Yes, still we don't enter the right password, we are not able to enter into the router. But in case we forget the password, so how we can do that? How we can recover the password? So simple process. First reboot the router and then enter into the ROMMON mode. So I just power on the password, go to CLI mode and enter into the ROMMON mode. I have given you the combination. In the normal keyboard where we have the break key, there we can use the control plus break key, or in some special keyboard which don't have the break key, we can use different combination for the break key like shift, control, function, delete or home key. So very first, now we need to change configuration register value. By default I have told it 0x2102. Now change it to config 0x2142. This particular configuration register value is used to bypass the Cisco startup configurations. Like here I have told you this is a default boot up process. First BIOS to iOS, then like this it will goes to the RAM, and default configuration is taken from the NVRAM. But now all the configurations, startup configuration is saved into the NVRAM. So next time when the router boot, we don't want to take this configuration from the NVRAM, we just want to say the router use the default configurations, don't take any configuration from the NVRAM. For that purpose we need to set is a configuration register value 0x2142. Done. And then reset. So now we can see this time when the router reboot, it will not take any configuration from the router, from the NVRAM, and load in the default iOS conditions. So it's asking for the startup configurations because you bypass the startup configurations from the NVRAM. No. So come to the enable. Now we can verify show startup, show running. No configuration here, but still this configuration exists in the NVRAM. Show startup configurations, you can see enable password command and enable look here, still the console password exists there. So now what we do, we copy the startup configuration to the RAM, means copy from NVRAM to RAM, copy startup -config to running. So we copy all the configurations, NVRAM configuration into the RAM. Now if we verify show running, now we can see all configuration come into the RAM. So now it's very easy for us. Conf T, we can change the password, enable password Cisco sorry, wrong spelling, enable password Cisco 123. So now we can change any configuration. Go to the interface configuration, sorry, line console 0. We can change the password here also. Done. So whatever configuration we want to change, we can change that and just write the wr command. Again, copy running to startup. Whatever configuration we have done, just change back to show running. Now you can see here the password has been changed. But again, we have to keep it in mind, show version. We need to change back to the configuration register to default value, that is 0x2102. The default value is 2102 as I have told in the beginning, but right now it is the 2142. If we don't change this default this configuration register value, every time the router reboot, it ignore the NVRAM. So come to the configuration mode again. Always be ensure to change this to the default value. Command is configuration hyphen register. Default value is 0x2102. Value has been changed. We can verify it. Show version. Now what is saying? Configuration right now working is 2142, but will be 0x21 on a reboot export. So just run the command reload. Yes, reload the command. Look here, when the next time router reboot, it take the passwords and everything we have changed with the new one. Enable show running, Cisco show running. Now this time it is using the new password that has been changed with the previous one. So it's a very simple process to recover the password and everything. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.